So, what is a prophet? Maybe that's a question that you could think about today. Maybe we think very often that a prophet is someone who has been called by God, who hears directly from God with a message to present and to share to a person or to a group of people, as in the nation of Israel. Well, whenever we come into Habakkuk chapter 1 and verse number 1, we read the burden which Habakkuk the prophet did see. Habakkuk, he was a prophet, but his little book is very different than many of the other prophecies that we read about in the Old Testament. Whenever we read about him as one of the minor prophets, we see that he's reasoning and he's struggling within his own mind, trying to comprehend and to try and understand God's ways. He couldn't quite figure things out. He couldn't understand how come he was praying and praying and praying, and there didn't seem to be any response. He didn't understand why sin was abounding and why sin was rife, it was everywhere, and God didn't do anything to eradicate it. He couldn't understand why sin was raised up in the middle of the nation of God, God's chosen people, and God didn't stamp that out or bring about revival and change the times and change the atmosphere in the nation at that time. Maybe some of those questions too have gone through your mind. Why do bad things happen to good people? Why is the church in the state that it's in today? Why does God not bring about revival and change and transform everything within our church and save people who are lost in their sins? Why does God not do these great and mighty works and deeds that we read about through the book of the Acts of the Apostles? This is how the prophet Habakkuk was reasoning in his own mind. But what we discover in verse number 1 is the burden which Habakkuk the prophet did see. This is a burden upon his heart. I wonder today, what's the burden of your heart? What is the thing that you've been calling upon the Lord for? You have been waiting with expectancy. You've been praying for change and transformation. What is your burden? What is your passion? What weighs heavy upon your heart? And maybe it's been something that's been there for a long, long time, but God doesn't seem to have moved or intervened in that situation. What we're going to discover through the book of Habakkuk, God's ways are not our ways. God works things out according to his will and to his timing. And it's always for our good and it's for his glory.